What's going on, YouTube? We got another fun one for you today. Earlier today, we got the release of the full patch notes for Season 10 Emergence of Apex Legends, and we have a better look at what the game is probably going to play like going into launch tomorrow. Hopefully. Now, I'm personally very excited for this new season, but we're going to go through all of the patch notes so that you have all of the information that you need going into tomorrow. But before we get started, if you enjoy this content, make sure to like this video, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. We've been growing at a pretty steady rate, and I have no intention to stop it anytime soon. But without further ado, I'm Brad from Last Call Gaming. Let's tap into it. All right, so let's kick things off with Seer. Now, at this point, there are no real surprises. There have been enough leaks, enough videos, enough people talking about Seer and concerned about Seer. We pretty much know everything at this point, but I do want to clarify a few things about his abilities. There has been some gameplay footage of him. Some content creators got early access to the season. I will link their videos down below, and I will use some footage to sort of clarify what I'm saying. Let's start with his passive. Now, his passive, I honestly think is going to be the most overpowered piece of his kit because of how useful it is, and I think it's the most likely thing to get toned down early on. And it will likely be his range, because this thing has a pretty far range. There's a visual and audio cue for heartbeat detection. The visual cue itself shows arrows that sort of adjust the closer you are to where the person you're looking at is. The powerful thing about this is you know all the time when there are people. It's better than a scan in some ways. So like this really suits an aggressive play style, I think. It's gonna be very, very good if you're farming. If you are looking for high kill, high damage games, this thing is gonna be, he's gonna be your legend. There are a couple of techs that you can do with his ADS and his tactical that I'll cover in a separate video tomorrow. I'm gonna do a video specifically on Seer and some first impression stuff. Now, in regards to his tactical, everyone was focused on this last week and was very concerned that it was gonna be super, super powerful. I'm here to tell you that I actually think that it's not so bad. First of all, it's on a 30-second cooldown, which is pretty long. Second of all, it's two-stage. And what I mean by that is there's an initial cast, and then there's the burst that actually does what the ability is supposed to do. As the person on the receiving end, you're gonna get a visual cue when this thing is incoming, and then you're gonna have about a full second, maybe a little bit more, to react one direction or the other to get out of it before you actually get scanned. If it hits you, it's gonna do about 10 damage. It will interrupt any healing or abilities that you're trying to use at that point, and you will be scanned for 8 seconds. This interruption is only an interruption, okay? It's not like a silence for Revenant where it takes your abilities out of the mix. It's about a second and a half interruption, and then you can go back to whatever you were trying to do. You will, however, still be scanned for that full 8 seconds. It's strong, but it is fairly easy to miss. In the gameplay tests that I saw, people were even like messing around with it and just arbitrarily throwing it out. It's easy to get out of. If you have enough of a reaction time, like to know like when that is coming your way, if you are in that tunnel, you can strafe out of it if you have the fast enough reflexes. It's not overly difficult to do because there is that two-stage aspect to it. His ultimate is, weirdly enough, the most underpowered piece of his kit, I think. And part of it has to do with the fact that you can destroy it. So placement of this is gonna be really, really important because it will be a target. It doesn't give you as much information as you think it does. When people are scanned, it will tell you that there are people there. It will tell you their movement patterns and stuff, but you do not know what they are. So if you see people in buildings, you're not gonna know what legend they are. You're just gonna see a little diamond icon where they're standing. You're gonna see their footsteps if they're moving fast enough, but you're not gonna get an outline of the person. You're not really gonna be able to tell what floor they're on because it's, interestingly enough, it's like, you'll have an idea. You'll know that they're there, but that's about it. If you're moving like in the air, if you're airborne, doesn't scan you. So I think of his abilities, this is actually the most underpowered. It's on a very quick cooldown too. It looks, from the gameplay, it's probably close to a 2-minute. Not quite as fast as an Octane pad, but definitely not slow. You'll have this pretty readily throughout the game. I think of his three main abilities. I think the most likely to get a nerf early on is actually going to be the distance or the range of his passive, but we'll have to see. I think he's actually going to launch more balanced than people were concerned about. As for the map updates, not a whole lot to talk about here. We already know what they are. I have a video about the changes up here. I've linked that above. Not much to go over. Everyone's still going to land Fragment. The new points of interest are notably very, very big, and the addition of gondolas is a nice touch. I think the changes are fun. I'm looking forward to the new POIs. I think it's going to be a nice little refreshing change of pace. The color scheme of the map is significantly better now that the red and the orange is all mostly gone. So little victories. The new weapon, the Rampage. Rampage! Something else I'm not going to spend a ton of time on. I'm going to show you some gameplay footage off to the side here to sort of talk about this. It's going to launch strong. Is it going to be broken? In the hands of higher tier players, I actually think it might. People with really solid aim are going to melt with this thing. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that, but I do think there's a lot of outplayability here still. I mean, anyone with good aim can make any gun in this game work. I've linked a video that I did on the specific numbers of this gun up above. I think it's going to be fine. It will probably receive a damage nerf. I would say within the first week, they'll probably scale it down 5 to 10%. I don't think it's going to be ridiculous. I think, again, there's outplayability just like with every gun in this game. In the right hands, all of the guns in this game are lethal. Quality of life updates. New badge for win streak in Battle Royale, which is fun. It scales up to 5. There's a hold on response to enemy pings for people that don't have microphones to just be like, please don't push this. Added distinct sound effect to the gold backpack revive. VFX were added in the Chaos Theory update. This gives additional feedback when players are close to, but not in line of sight of revives. So audio cue for gold backpack revives, which is a nice little quality of life thing, not a huge deal. Updated the heirloom store to give players a better view of all the items related to that item. Always nice to know when you're not getting your heirloom shards. Gives you something to look forward to, I suppose. And then updated open pack button to show how many packs of each type are available to open. Highlighting the button shows a complete breakdown. This is nice. Little quality of life things. They always do this every season. Stuff to make things a little bit better. I want to know who has 74 legendary packs to open, but you know. Now for the juicy stuff, the stuff that everyone's here for. Legend meta. Fusey. Enemies caught inside the Ring of Fire from Fuse's Motherlode ultimate are now revealed to Fuse's team. This is good. Thermite is notoriously hard to see through. When you motherload someone, especially up close, trying to aim at them is kind of hard because, especially for people using colorblind settings, it's next to impossible to see anybody. Knuckle cluster tactical explosion duration increased by 100%. This is insane. I fully expect this to get toned down pretty quickly because by the numbers, you should be able to one-shot someone off of drop. Like white armor, if you stick someone with his cluster grenade, it should kill them. Like full kill them with that duration. I think that's a bit overkill. I was expecting half of this. Not to mention, it's just gonna be loud and obnoxious. You're gonna hear it for 10 frickin' minutes in every game now, but whatever. Grenadier passive can now be toggled on and off to throw ordnance normally. I don't know why you would do this, because part of Fuse's appeal is his ability to accurately and quickly fire multiple grenades in succession, but now you have the option. I guess if you're trying to do like the hardcore, like high arc throws where you're trying to hit someone on a rooftop above you, that makes sense. I can only think of that as being the only time you would ever really need to use this, but whatever. From the devs, Fuse continues to struggle. We identified 2 opportunities to help him that weren't just give him more damage. We believe Apex is a gun game first and foremost, and therefore want to make sure we don't put too much damage into character abilities. This is funny because they did this to his knuckle cluster. That's so much damage, but whatever. First opportunity we identified was his tactical. While meant as a persistent area denial tool, it currently does not last long enough to seriously inconvenience an enemy. That much is true. We doubled the duration so you can now place one at a door and be reasonably sure no one's coming through the door for a little while. While we doubled the duration, the damage per second remains the same. Please don't stand in the fire. Again, this is a tough one because I'm pretty sure that this will kill someone off of drop. It's a bit much. Secondly, his ultimate often didn't give his teammates an advantage. Sure, you may catch enemies within it, but the flames made it impossible for you to step inside, and you couldn't see the enemies you trapped, either because the flames were in the you couldn't see the enemies that were trapped either because the flames were in the way. We explored a few ways to deal with this, but ended up going for the most straightforward answer. You get enemy outlines as long as they stay in the Ring of Fire. That's good enough. Thermite is just notoriously hard to see through. This is fine. Horizon. Reduced the slow after the initial black hole pool. This is a nerf to Nuti, and then bumped Horizon gravity lift speed up to a happy medium between the 9.1 and Legacy update launch values. That's not specific enough to say how fast. She's no longer going to be slower, I think, than Revenant climbing a building, which is probably for the best. I don't know. I don't know if this is enough to bring her back into the meta with everything else, especially with the new Legend and all of the other interactions, but we'll see. Dev note, there's no doubt the nerfs Horizon received with Legacy were necessary, but given the benefit of time and hindsight, we decided we probably hit the speed of her tactical too hard. Well, yes. Instead of completely reverting that part of the nerf, we found a happy medium between how fast her gravity lift operated at release and how slow it was after the nerf. This one's hard to communicate with numbers, so just give her a try and tell us what you think. I think this is them saying we might do more. We'll see. The one that everyone was concerned about, Revenant. There's now a visual and audio cue when Death Totem protection is about to end, which can be seen, heard by other players. And then they also added a brief slow after being recalled to Death Totem. I do not know what this means. I'm guessing that they're trying to nerf the immediate send back if you're doing Revtain stuff. I don't know if this is enough to counter Revtain completely, to ditch Revtain completely. We'll see. This is another one. They didn't give specific numbers and nobody knows what the audio visual cue looks like, so we'll find out in time. Caustic. Gas damage starts at 5, increases by 1 every other tick indefinitely. Cooldown on tactical has been reduced 25 to 20 seconds, and the ultimate cooldown has been reduced from 3.5 to 3 minutes. The duration of the tactical is 20 to 15 seconds. Slight buff nerf combo here. The devs, I'm not gonna read this whole thing, but the devs are understandably concerned about bringing him back up because he's another one. Damage legends are hard to balance because push them too far, they dominate everything. Scale them back too much, they're completely worthless. It's the unfortunate caveat of having abilities that primarily do damage. So they want him to be more of a deterrent. Their concern was that you could heal in the gas and just push through it, and most people could. And that, at the end of the day, was why he fell out of the meta to begin with. So now every other tick, it scales up by 1. By the time the ticks reach 11, enemies will generally be dead in that amount of time, which seems right, unless they were healing. So I think this is fair. It means you can't stand in the gas. Just don't stand in the gas. Don't do that. You will die. Weapon meta. The supply drop rotation. The Prowler is back. The Spitfire and the Alternator take its place, meaning there are now 4 care package weapons. That number is very important, and I'll explain why in a minute. Hop-ups. We get a brand new one. Boosted loader. Reloading near empty, but not at 0, increases reload speed and overloads the next magazine with extra rounds. This hop-up will be equipable to the Hemlock Burst AR and the Wingman. I don't know why they keep giving the Wingman hop-ups. I think it's strong enough on its own right. The Hemlock now has one, which I guess is fine, though it's not gonna make me necessarily wanna pick a Hemlock up. To make room, the Anvil Receiver and Quick Draw Holster are being vaulted for now. I'm sad about this. I really like the Anvil Receiver a lot. It gives me a lot of options for the guns that I particularly like to use, but you win some, you lose some. The fully kitted rotation is now changing. In the fully kitted rotation, we get the Peacekeeper, the Rampage, the RE45, the Flatline, and the Charge Rifle. I would very much like to find a fully kitted Flatline. Yes, yes, yes. Please, gimme, gimme. Removed from the fully kitted rotation are the Wingman, the Bocek, the R99, the Hemlock, and the Sentinel. This is fine. Nothing really major. I didn't like finding a gold Sentinel. It always felt kind of like a slap in the face. Gold Bow, however, was always really nice, so I'm kind of sad about that. Magazine attachments. Reload speed increase associated with magazines has been removed to the equivalent stock rarity tier. So stocks will now affect your reload speed primarily. Seems fair. They wanted to distribute the usefulness across all levels of attachments, and people didn't prioritize stocks, so they wanted people to pick up more stonks. Anyway, stock attachments. All stocks offer reload speed increase instead of magazines. Marksman weapons will now use sniper stocks instead of tactical stocks. Sniper stocks on marksman weapons will offer increased stability and sway reduction with a slightly reduced handling bonus from tactical stocks. Nothing crazy there. In regards to the marksman, the 30-30 specifically will be getting a soft buff from stocks now, but we'll cover that in a minute. The L-Star is about to be meta. Calling it now. The L-Star will now take energy magazines, meaning it will cool down faster and it will take longer to overheat, which is really, really nice. I've been wanting it to have energy magazines for so long. It now takes barrels for recoil reduction, which is awesome. These next few are really, 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 really important, and I don't think it's as emphasized as it should be. The projectile VFX scale has been reduced by roughly half, meaning it will be easier to see where you're aiming. First person on hit impact effect, intensity reduced. Also huge. This is going to make the gun so much easier to control, it's not even funny. The hip fire spread has been increased. This is probably fair considering these other two things are going to make it so much easier to control. My biggest complaints about the L-Star was that it never, when you would fire it, it never looked like the projectiles were going where they should be. And this is gonna fix that, and it's gonna be so nice, and I'm very excited for it. That being said, it's probably gonna make the L-Star very strong in the meta. We'll have to see. Light machine guns. Reduce the headshot multiplier for all LMGs from 2.0 to 1.75. Important because the Spitfire is going into the care package and we have a brand new LMG. And also, I think the L-Star is considered an LMG, so this is important. This is just across the board important. Increase the limb shot multiplier for all LMGs from 0.75 to 0.85. Not sure this is a necessary change. It's fine. The dev note, LMG spray and pray was feeling a bit too oppressive when random headshots chunked with 2.0 damage. We're shaving some of that off. That is fair because they're right. Moving on, pistols. Reduced handling time for all pistols by 10%. Raise, holster, zoom, in and out time is what they mean by that. This is effects of quick draw, and this is basically a little bit of the quick draw holster benefit going into all pistols because the quick draw is being removed from the loot pool. Fine. Prowler is back to the ground, and the time between bursts has increased from 0.2 to 0.24. Negligible. It's going to be strong. It's still going to be a beast. I don't think this is probably enough of a nerf, honestly, because it's coming back to the ground. It's also not getting its toggle fire, which, fine, everybody used it in burst anyway. I'm glad it's coming back. I want to use it more because I like the gun, but again, we'll have to see. M600 Spitfire is going back to its pre-nerfed state. Damage per bullet 18 to 19, hipfire spread reduced to season 8 pre-nerf values, and purple mag size increased from 50 to 55. It's strong. We know it's strong. Everyone that's played this game knows it was strong. I never personally thought it was as oppressive as some people did. I occasionally use it. I still use it. I think with the recent nerf to its hipfire spread, it's very selective in terms of gunfights. There are way better options to pick. This going into the care package should shut a lot of people up. Let's see, dev note. We've all woken up with a cold sweat in the middle of the night from a nightmare where Rampart with 2 gold mag spitties chases you on World's Edge train tracks, laughing maniacally as she shoots for eternity, right? Yeah, I guess. Alternator. Reintroduce the disruptor rounds which come equipped on a supply drop alternator. Disruptor rounds increase shield damage by 40%. Disruptor rounds can only be found on alternators from the supply drop. I want to talk about this very quickly. This and the Spitfire kind of in conjunction. People were freaking out last week when we found out the alternator was getting disruptor rounds and going into the care package. I want to do some numbers on this. There are now 4 weapons in the care package, which means the likelihood of finding one of them has gone down. Originally, there was some speculation that because the alternator was also going in, the triple take was coming out and it was still going to be the 3 weapon rotation. There are now 4, which means at any given time, maybe you only see one of these in the game. It's not like everybody's going to be running around with disruptor rounds murdering you. It will increase the urgency to camp care packages, to open care packages, to find these weapons before other teams do, so that you are the one not on the receiving end of this damage. But by and large, these overpowered weapons are going to be fewer and far between because there are now more of them in the care packages. Just want everybody to take a deep breath and understand that you may only encounter one alternator with disruptor rounds or one Spitfire in a match. Maybe, if you encounter them at all. Just keep that in mind. Moving on to the 30-30. Reload speed from stocks is increased. So now the 30-30 is going to get a reload boost. Like I said, it's a soft buff. It encourages you to pick up sniper stocks if you still want to use it. The EVA 8 significantly reduced bolt fire rate scaling for each rarity tier. Base fire rate remains unchanged. There are no numbers saying how significantly the bolt fire rate scaling specifically has changed, but I'm guessing if they're saying it's significant, that it is indeed significant. We will see tomorrow. I think this is an okay nerf. It's been dominant for most of Season 9. It's probably fair. Arena weapons updates. Care package changes apply to arenas. The Prowler and Rampage replace the Alternator and Spitfire in the arena shop. Prowler base cost is $450. Rampage base cost is $500. That's fair. Scales $200, $300, $400, $200, $300, $350 for the Rampage. Arena price adjustments. The L-Star leveling has gone up in price by $50, probably to compensate for how powerful it's actually going to be. That gun is already really strong in arenas. It's only going to be stronger now. 30-30 repeater has gone down. I don't know why you would pick that in arenas anyway, but now it's going to cost you less if you want to. The bow check bow has gone down by 100. For me particularly, that seems kind of unfair. I will pick up a bow any chance I get. That thing hits. Charge rifle has gone down on all fronts. EVA 8 has gone up, which makes sense. Mastiff has gone down, which makes sense. Peacekeeper has gone way down, whole 150, which seems drastic. And then a fuse knuckle cluster has gone up, probably to compensate for the fact that it's now twice as long. Arena ability adjustments. Horizon's gravity lift starting charges reduced from 2 to 1. Mirage's Psych Out starting charges reduced from 3 to 2. And Bloodhound's free scans while in Beast of the Hunt reduced from 3 to 2. Probably smart. On to some bug fixes. With the bug fixes, I'm not gonna go over every single individual one because a lot of these are negligible. I will cover the ones that are most important that fix some known bugs, some known exploits, and things like that. Trident and dropship audio should no longer be significantly dampened when Bloodhound is using their ultimate. These are all nice little changes. Gibby corrected an audio issue where Gibraltar's dome shield failed to make sound. The Gentle Giant skin will no longer obstruct the player's view when aiming down sights with the 1x hollow sight attached. Fixed some instances where dome shield would disappear on placement and not get refunded to the player. This happens a lot just with ultimates in general. I've seen this happen at least 2 or 3 times with both Octane and actually Horizon. Wraith should no longer be crushed by closing doors while her tactical is active. This has happened to me a couple of times. I'm gonna see if I can find some footage. I don't know if I still have it, but this has happened to me a couple of times, and boy howdy is it sad. Wraith can no longer use her ultimate while attached to Valkyrie's ultimate. This caused like some handful of weird bugs where people were like floating. It was strange. Caustic solved a bug preventing caustic barrels from making planting audio when they land in water. Fixed a bug that allowed caustic barrels to be pushed into players, crushing them. Fuse's ultimate mother load is no longer destroyed if it interacts with caustic gas. Watson's ult will no longer shoot down friendly caustic barrels and ults. Mirage addressed an issue where Mirage's invisible revive wouldn't fully cloak teammates when certain skins were being worn. RIP. Fixed an exploit with Octane that allowed players to wedge an Octane jump pad between a supply bin to make the Trident faster. This is gonna make a lot of people really sad because that was a bug that allowed you to just like sling a Trident across the map. I mean, it was busted. It was a bug, but they fixed it. Loba! Some big ones here. Lots of fixes across all maps to address issues with exploits, hiding spots, and inconsistencies with her tactical. So I believe this means that you will no longer be able to like phase into bins and phase into rooms that you weren't otherwise supposed to get to. UI fix. The ammo count in Loba's black market should now display correctly. Rampart fixed an issue where Rampart's wall could get stuck in an animation loop when hit by caustic gas. Oh no, they got rid of the fireworks. That's sad. I mean, it's fine, but like it's sad. Horizon addressed some cases where black hole newt wouldn't appear when using Horizon's ultimate. That's good. Valkyrie fixed an edge case causing passengers on Valkyrie's ult with bad ping to be reverted back to the ground in an unusual position. The ultimate skydive special UI and targeting will now update with colorblind settings. Teammates should no longer be able to float around while being tethered to Valkyrie's ult by breaking the explosive hold. Fixed an issue where Valkyrie could be pushed into unintended areas by the Trident when using her ultimate. Fixed an issue where players could still activate Valkyrie's tactical and ultimate while under structures without the vertical clearance requirement. Fixed some cases where teammates would clip through walls and appear on the same side of Valkyrie while tethered to her ultimate. And fixed an exploitable spot on Canyonlands where Valkyrie could reach an inaccessible area using her passive. But that's everything. No Watson buff, no Octane nerf, no major Revenant nerf that is probably notable. A lot of things that people were expecting that just didn't come to fruition. So we'll have to see how these things play out going into tomorrow, if we can even play the game at all. If it's a typical respawn launch, we won't be able to really play the game until probably Thursday, but we'll see. But that's about it for right now. But those are all the changes. Are you as excited for Season 10 as I am? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Be sure to recommend this video to someone who might find it interesting as well. And if you want to interact with me personally, come hang out on my stream. I'm live every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and I'd like to think I'm pretty funny. But that's it for now. Thank you guys so very, very much for watching, and until next time, cheers.